fellow compatriots, partners, and friends of Liberia, let me say how pleased I am to be here. I've been a few days in the United States, and what a wonderful way to end my visit as I go home tomorrow. I'd like first to introduce those who are here with me that are not only on the stage. Ambassador Poole and Ambassador Kamara have already been recognized. But let me recognize those here, particularly the young ones who have come with me on this visit. We have of course my sisters there, the who is an independent journalist with Star Radio. Sekou Kone, who heads the Study Market Women Fund. Mohamed Kassouli, who works in the office, in the presidency office. Members of the Barracks youth football team. They have all come with us as we work with them, with supporters who will be supporting them in building their new football stadium and in supporting the rebuilding of our lives. Of course, we have Richardson, my special assistant. We have our photographer. All of those who've been with us for these 3 days. We've come a long way as a nation and as a people. When we started on this long journey, after 2 years of peace achieved through the interim government, we met a devastated nation. A collapsed economy, dysfunctional institutions. In effect, we were called a failed state, a pariah nation. But the resilience of the Liberian people enabled us to start anew. And with our great faith in God and with His blessings, we were able to embark upon the process of economic reconstruction and national renewal. The 4 pillars have already been mentioned by Ambassador Poole. Peace and security and rule of law are the fundamentals upon which any nation can build. We could not start the process of rebuilding unless there's peace and unless we have security in a stabilized nation. And so the security sector reform became a major part of our efforts to secure that peace. As a result of the support of the United States, we were able to train a new army, a very professional army that we're very proud of. And the Liberian National Police, the immigration forces, special security services, are all in the process of being trained, of becoming professional and being properly equipped. We still have a United Nations peacekeeping force. The numbers are now down to about 8,000 from 15,000 where they were when we started. And we're preparing our own security forces to take over the responsibility of the safety of our nation in a couple of years when we're properly equipped to do so. Liberia, under economic revitalization, I don't have to tell you, Liberia is not a poor country.
Thank you.
We say it's been poorly managed.
Yes.
And so our responsibility was to reactivate our productive sector, our mining sector, our agriculture sector, our fisheries sector, our forestry sector, ensure that the sanctions that had been placed on us were lifted, and to start the process of renegotiating concession agreements to ensure that the national interest was protected, and negotiating new ones to start the reopening. And we've been very good at that. It's taken us a while, but today we can say that in the mining sector, we have investment that's coming from China, from Russia, from the United States, from India, Paris, of the major firms. In our agricultural sector, we have investment coming from Malaysia, and from Indonesia, and from the United States. In our forestry sector, they come from all over. So we've been able to amass foreign direct investment on the order of 16 billion. We expect that will revitalize the economy. It's taken a while to achieve it, and the operations have just started. So it hasn't trickled down yet. The effects are not yet felt. But at least we've laid the foundation for that. And through our sound economic policy, under the heavily indebted poor countries initiative that has been mentioned, we've been able to clear the 4.9 billion external debt that had not been serviced. Under our infrastructure and basic services, and that's one of the greatest needs, because as you know, our country had been dark, void of electricity during since the 14 years of conflict, except those who could afford private generators. But we have brought back some lights, not enough of it, we've brought back pipe-on water, started the rebuilding of schools and clinics and hospitals. And today we can say that we've come a long way, and some of the best things is to have enforced compulsory primary education and to see a 40% increase in our enrollment, and particularly to see the little kids away from the farm, out of the markets, trying to get them off the streets. Back into the uniforms and back in school. That's the greatest joy that one can have. Decentralized higher education, realizing that not only primary education is important, but we've got to create those scholars and the intellects and those teachers that will be able to administer to our children. And so Tupman, what used to be technical college is now Tupman University, opened its doors today. Just a few months ago, during 26, we commissioned the Nimba Community College. Nassau Community College has also started. January, we've already completed with personal contribution. We've finished the Sydney Technical College, and they will open in Hitman in January. Of course, the University at Fendel, many of you may have seen the works at Fendel. those students will, with the support of some of our partners, we hope to get the students from the main campus in Monrovia essentially back to the Fennell campus where they have a better environment to pursue their educational endeavor. So that process is starting. And of course we have the wonderful Tapita Hospital, which is the most electricity and water, like I say, we don't have enough of it yet. We still have only 9.6 megawatt, but by Christmas we hope to electrify the greater part of Monrovia in this environment. We're pursuing different types of options for rural electrification, and the work on our hydro should start pretty soon. Governance and the rule of governance has been a tough one. That's where all the corruption issue comes in. Just trying to get the civil service functioning again has been a big challenge. When we came in, civil servants pay averaged $15 US a month. And many times they were not paid at all. Today, the lowest civil servants get $80 a month. We've got a gradation. We've been trying to introduce the merit system. It's not enough yet, far from enough. I'll be the first to say that. But at least they do get paid and get paid on time. We try also to build a civil society. Our civil society is very vibrant. I don't have to tell you, you experience that from the chat rooms over here. And so, being a part of what's going on in the society, taking issues, challenging, questioning, criticizing, that's all part of the democratic process. And we accept that for what it is. And so I think, we always say that corruption has to be handled in a comprehensive way. And it takes 5 elements to be able to address it in a manner in which it will be sustainable. We started with a value system, almost a culture of corruption that comes from the statement, where you tap good, that way it eats. If you know what that means, that which is brought into the value system, that wherever you are, you make the best use you can of it. It takes a while to change that, and so one has to address the compensation issue to reduce people's vulnerabilities. One has to address the capacity issue to make sure that people are able to perform on a task. One has to build institutions, and that's why we have the General Auditing Commission and the Anti-Corruption Commission. And we're now introducing a national internal audit system that's just getting started. But you also have to address the punishment issue. And that means you have a functioning judicial system. We still have some problems there that we have to work on. But today we're pleased that everybody in Liberia can enjoy the basic freedoms granted by our Constitution. This is why Liberia has stood out in 2 ways. We're the first country to become compliant under the Extractive Industry Initiative. This is the one in which all companies, all corporations have to report whatever they pay to governments or to any individual And that body that monitors that is a body comprising civil society representatives along with the government. And we became the first country, African country, to become compliant. And this is why we also were granted the first African country to get the Freedom Award for a free press. Even though we've come a long way, we still have a long way to go. Yes. The challenges are still there. There's the challenge of youth employment. One of the major areas that we now have to tackle, and that's because we have thousands and thousands of our young people who are bypassed by education during the years of conflict, who did not have an opportunity to get a skill. And so today, they have not been able to be placed in positions where professional training and skills are required. Our challenge is to find a way through vocational training to give them those skills they need to enable them to get back their dignity. So that's one of our major challenges. The capacity challenge. Just having people with the ability to move things and to get the job done. Because over the years, so many people, as a result of the benefits of being a part of a warrior group, were placed in positions for which they were not equipped to carry out those tasks. We have to be careful because of the social implications. We've already been charged with downsizing. And even though we try to do a structured reorganization, we still have a lot of people who don't have the skills, so we have to redeploy them and train them, and then infuse a system with those like yourselves who have the skills. So we bring back, and we ask you to come back home and to be able to fill that. We still have the challenge of infrastructure, as much as I told you about the investment we have, but we still don't have enough roads. We still don't have enough lights. We still don't have enough water to make it attractive for private sector investment. And those are some of the things that we need to work on. But with your support, with what you have done, and you know remittances are a big part of what Make Liberia works, what you send back to your relatives and to your friends. And to your organizations, that makes a big, big difference in supplementing our own resources. We started with a budget of $80 million. Hardly, I would think, much more than what your high school probably has. But today we're over 350 million. Yeah. But most of all, if one were to ask me, what indeed are your greatest achievement? What is your success? I would say that today you can be proud to be a Liberian. Yeah. Anywhere in the world today, no longer will you be sent to the back room. No longer will somebody say, you come from the country where you kill each other and where you destroy. today when you show your passport, they'll probably ask you, how's your country doing?
They do. And they ask, how's Ellen doing? And I said, fine.
And finally, the thing that warms my heart, when I was inaugurated in January 2006, I said the best thing that could happen is to make our children smile again.
Yes.
Today, our children are smiling. Thank you all for being there. Thank you for being great Liberians. Thank you for giving us the support and the encouragement and the motivation. Thank you, Liberian women, for enabling me to represent their aspirations and their expectations. That's not all. You're supposed to say, don't sit there. Thank you very much for being great Liberians.
And then she will stand and respond. Go ahead.
Madam President, we are honored to have you here today again. Here we have with us people who sent in several questions, and we randomly selected among these questions. Because if we ask you all tonight, you probably will be until tomorrow morning. So we I'm assisted by the former mayor of Painesville, Jonathan Gibson, and a Liberian from Queens, the Honorable Mohammed Kurma, and myself, Toba Boyd. First, before we ask the question, we want to congratulate you, Your Excellency, on being the first sitting president on the continent of Africa to win the prestigious African Editor Forum Award, the award that was given to you for freedom of press. Now tell us we have an open nation. First question is, for professional Liberians living in America, seeking employment back home, what's your mechanism in place to facilitate this process for them? That's the first question. And we're reading the question just as written. We're not editing it or anything. We didn't write it. The second question is, what are your advice for women, girls that are on the street, and what can they do to one day become president, minister, teacher in our country, Liberia? The third question is, what are you doing about the water system in Liberia? The water system in Liberia.
For Liberians wanting to come home, we do have certain kinds, we have some special programs supported by some of our institutional contacts here to provide some topping off of salary for Liberians. We've been running that program for 4 years. It's beginning to decline because the numbers have been increasing. We also have the Special Executive Service where we target 100 Liberians, both from here and abroad. Another program called the SCOT program that's supported by some of our private foundations here to enable Liberians to have a larger income than what our own salary structure would provide. And some of your personal benefits in coming home are covered. But it's just recently that we're trying to get a program aimed specifically at the diaspora. That means creating a database to know where you are, what the skills are, to being able to match those skills with the demand and the needs at home. So that program is just starting, but there is no question that when you make that decision to come home, you will, in a certain way, you'll be given something back because you will have to give up some of the comforts that you're accustomed to here. That will be the sacrifice that you made for your country. Rehabilitation of girls. Well, as I said, we're trying now to push girls' education. We have a special program that's supported by the Nike Foundation and the World Bank that aims to train young girls for specific positions in the private sector. That program is now starting. I think it targets about 2,000 young girls, and we hope that they'll be able then to find a job immediately after they've met their training needs. We still have a big problem about the retention of girls in school. We still have rape and prostitution as major problems in the society. And so we'll try to think other ways to address it. We'll think about girls, boarding schools and things like that that will enable them to get off the street and into environment. But that still remains a challenge for us. The water system, we're trying now to rehabilitate the White Plains plant. Today, I think there's some 20% of the population served by pipeline water. Still not sufficient because we have to get new units out at White Plains. But that process has started, and we are rehabilitating the water supply system in several of the major counties. I think it's Kakata, Swedru, Greenville, up about 5 of them, with the support of the African Development Bank, that the water system with Kakata is already functioning anyway. So they're trying to work on the other ones. Buchanan is another one that should have pipeline water in about a year or so.
Thank you. The next 3 questions. Next 3 questions. I'll bring you.
President, what is your government stand on the land dispute in downtown Nimba County? Madam President, what efforts are in place to help address the widespread of AIDS among our young Liberians? Madam President, I would like to know when will the Postal Ministry begin using the zoning system?
Our report on Nimba has already been made. There have been negotiations between those who lost their properties and assumed it to give them back to the rightful owners and to compensate those. We're just waiting for a program under the Peace Building Fund that has just been approved to enable us to settle with those who will be compensated for returning the property to their original owners. There is one area that has been of great conflict, and that's the market area that's been claimed by both parties. We are going to exercise eminent domain. We'll take it from both sides, and we'll turn it into public. We'll turn it into a public facility that will be used by all. HIV/AIDS. We have a great program in the anti-rival thing. There's an AIDS Commission which I chair. It's co-chaired by Minister Guanagali, the Minister of Health. We have an executive director with an active aid program trying to give instruction and conscientize the public. The incidence is relatively low as compared to other regions in Africa, but we know that it has had a small increase, and we have to just continue with the programs that we have, but it's an aggressive program that's serving hundreds of people who are affected by this. The Postal Service, we like it the way it is, you see where, you know, I already delivered a letter you say, you know, go to the gas station, buy plum drink. The zoning process was not one of the great priorities. We had to do some other things, but that's part of the future thing for bringing us to the state of international standard. Until then, we'll still find you by the plum tree.
This question says, thank you for being here tonight. My question, what is the biggest leadership challenge you face as a president? Madam President, can we in the United States vote this time around? Third question is there anything being done about dual citizenship between U.S. and Liberia?
I guess the biggest leadership challenge is to see how we can balance the aim of reconciliation with the aim of competence and qualification. We're always battling that to make sure we get it right as we try to get people into our institutions. And so we're still trying to see how we can get all Liberians to think as one and to make sure that they all see the common cause of trying to rebuild a future for all of our children with equal opportunity, social justice and equity for all. We're still a very, we still have some trauma in our society in the way we approach things, and we're still very antagonistic and aggressive and combative. So let's hope we can all work at it. Unfortunately, I don't think in the next election, 2011, we'll be able to extend the vote to people in the diaspora. And it's simply because we're just trying to perfect the system at home to make sure that the system is truly free and fair. And I don't think we have the means and the capacity to build the systems abroad. And it would not just be America, you have to do it all over once you extend it out. And so the next election is probably too much of a challenge for us, but we know it's something that we have to prepare for the future. Maybe the next election after the next one, we should be prepared. Dual citizenship is right on the horizon. A bill is already before. The legislature has a bill, and I'm sure when they come back after recess in January, that will be one of the things on the agenda.
Madam President, this question comes from Teresa Foreman. I would like to know if it is true that Liberia has begun oil exploration. Madam President, will you kindly comment on the recent dismissal of all the cabinet ministers, even though I know that they serve at your will and pleasure?
First, all exploration started before this government started in the interim government, but we have moved it to a higher level, and in fact, we have tried to move away from just the mid-level people who are seeking to explore to bring in the big names, and so we just got Chevron to come in and to buy out some smaller players so that we get someone that have the capacity and the deep pockets to be able to develop. You can understand why I'm making all the opposition going on. The other thing, the what? I didn't fire the cabinet, they're on administrative leave. No, it's just a period for reflection, for the opportunity to sit with each one and to assess the performance, to set specific quantifiable goals for the next year. We're entering the last year of the administration. We're going into the dry season where we need to maximize what we do. And so it's an opportunity for us to step back, stop, and then sit and say, here's what we've done. This is what we want to achieve in the next year before we get into the elections. And so it's just that process of reassessment and re-energizing. But I admit to you, it's a daring move, it's an unprecedented move, and that's why I'm a woman. We do those things.
Madam President.
Talk about your name here because it's the last set of questions. That's it. No, this is. No. When you ask them, when I finish.
Thank you. Okay. Madam President, it's not just why you're a woman, but you are a teacher. You're teaching the ministers how to lead. Madam President, this is a very long question. In September of this year, Liberia accomplished a milestone when Delta Airlines became the first post-war USA airline with direct flight to Liberia. What are other milestones you wish to accomplish in aviation in Liberia in the next few years? Do you expect to register airplanes in Liberia in the coming years? The other question says, what challenges have you faced as the first female head of state in Africa?
We're proud that we work hard to get Delta Airline to make direct flights, and the big issue now is to modernize our airport to be able to attract other planes. Others are already holding negotiations with us, and we expect that there will be more planes as we try to improve the airport. And what do we do about the challenges as a woman? Whenever I'm asked that question, as a woman president, how do you feel, what are your challenges? I remind people, I'm a technocrat, I'm a professional who happens to be a woman. But that said, I'm proud of being a woman. And I think the challenges I face will be common to most presidents, except that because I am the first democratically elected woman president, I'm under scrutiny all the time. I'm subject to monitoring and evaluation. Whatever I do, whatever I say, is examined to make sure of its impact, its implication and its consequences. And so, and I also am humbled by the fact that on behalf of women in Liberia and Africa, even the world, I must succeed on their behalf. But it came up to him, and it comes up all the time, the TRC. I wonder how many persons have read the TRC report and are conscious of the complexity of the recommendations contained therein. You tend to focus only on two things, the punishment and the sanctions. But the richness of the TRC report, which we have accepted for its clear presentation analysis of the root causes of our conflict. The recommendations are deep-rooted and very complex, and there's no way that you can implement those recommendations immediately. They take time. Well, if you're dealing with reparations, there's serious implications about reparations. Do you give reparations to individuals? If you do, almost all Liberians were affected by the war. You would have to do reparations to everybody. Do you do institutional reparations? Do you do reparations for communities that have been affected by restoring to them basic services that were lost during the war? These are issues that have to be examined. When it comes to the punishment, our Constitution, Article 20A of the Constitution is clear that nobody can be deprived of life, liberty, and certain benefits without due process of law. So there's no group that can make a recommendation that deprives you of that without you having an opportunity to defend yourself. So you see, these are the... So we have said those that have constitutional implications need to be looked at by scholars, so they can tell us whether we're violating our Constitution by that. But we know that that report has to be implemented, but implemented over time, consistent with us making sure that it does not undermine our peace and undermines our security, and that it carries out the basic fundamental premise of Accra. I was in Accra, and Accra was clear that we wanted to make sure we laid the groundwork for reconciliation to have sustained peace in the country, and we have to do that. The Independent Human Rights Commission has been established, it has been commissioned, and they know that their responsibility is to take each of those recommendations and come up with a game plan of how we can move. Don't forget, we're not the first one to have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. South Africa had it, Sierra Leone had it, and they've been able over time to find peace without creating the turmoil that comes from the controversy of denying people's rights without due process. We also have Cambodia that had some major atrocities in their country. It took them 20 years to bring people to justice, because in those particular early days after conflict, had they tried to impose the justice in the manner in which they would have returned to conflict. So those are the things that have to be examined carefully. Let us be clear that we've accepted the report. There is nobody who was a party to writing that report who is under any threat. There's not a single person in Liberia today for political purpose who's under threat from the state. Not at all. I challenge anyone to say that. We are going to have a program to implement it sequentially, over time, consistent with the preservation of peace and the stability of our nation. Thank you.